Congratulations on your purchase of the SONY FXE-100 integrated video editing system, and welcome to the world of special effects generation, multiple source video switching, and professional quality video production made possible through precision A/B roll editing. For best results and ease of learning, use your FXE-100's operating instructions in conjunction with this video, since they both run parallel in content. So whether you are new to video production or even a seasoned video veteran, join us now as we explore the potential of your new video editing system, the FXE-100. The FXE-100 is literally 3 video production tools built into one desktop size unit. It's a 2-bus, 3-input digital video switcher that has a digital frame memory and an internal video synchronizer, so it's not necessary to have time-based correctors connected to your source VTRs. A variety of input effects can be added to either or both of your 2 active video sources, and a 2-bus color corrector can correct color deficiencies that usually take place due to improper white balance in the video camera. The white pattern section of the FXE-100 allows you to use any of 20 basic white patterns to create over 130 different combination wipes, including user-definable wipes that can be assigned to the main control panel. The mix effects section of the FXE-100 provides a normal mix or dissolve, a mosaic mix, a posterization mix, black and white mix, luminance clip transition, luminance key, chroma key, and picture-in-picture. Built right into your FXE-100 is a full-featured A/B roll edit controller that is capable of performing anything from a simple assemble edit to edit decision list time-coded 3 VTR editing. The FXE-100 can memorize up to 99 edit points along with all of the respective automated transitions and special effects. Your entire edit decision list can be saved to virtually any personal computer and recalled at any time. A single jog shuttle dial handles the transport of up to 3 VTRs connected to the FXE-100, so that finding a specific edit point can be accomplished easily and quickly right down to the exact frame. Any combination of industrial and broadcast level VTRs can be connected and used with the FXE-100, either through the RS-422 or the RS-232C protocol. And if space within your video workstation is a consideration, you can literally use only one video monitor for your entire editing system, since the FXE-100 permits you to quickly view the video output of either source VTR, your editing VTR, or the program being delivered directly from the output of the FXE-100 switcher. So let's begin with the FXE-100's control panel and find out what each control is for. At first glance, the FXE-100 may appear somewhat complex. However, as we break the control panel down into modular sections, you will quickly see the operating logic as well as the user-friendliness. Beginning in the lower right quadrant of the unit, we see the editing control and VTR manual control module. It is here where the desired type of edit mode is selected, where the edit points are programmed, and where remote operation of your VTR's tape transports take place. The Edit Type section asks you to decide what category of editing you wish to perform, which is usually dependent upon whether you use 1 or 2 player or source VTRs. For instance, if you select Cut Edit, you can use a single source VTR with your recording VTR to string together a group of video scenes or cuts. When you select the A-Roll button, you can still use only one source VTR along with a recording VTR to perform edits much like a cut edit. However, this time, the last video frame on the preceding edit is frozen, and a transition of your choice links the 2 scenes together. An A/B roll is a type of edit that requires the use of 2 different player VTRs, which alternate back and forth as a source to be recorded. The Manual Edit button can be employed to allow you to manually perform special effect transitions during the playing of 2 VTRs, rather than depend upon pre-programmed transition points, and the respective transitions will not be memorized into your edit decision list. Sync roll editing is much like manual editing, where 2 VTRs are playing and manual operation of the video switcher is possible. However, any transition that you do perform will be memorized into the edit decision list. In the Edit Mode section, you will see 4 purple buttons and 1 blue button that will let you decide what portion of the videotape is to be recorded when an edit takes place. If you select the Assemble button, then everything including the video signal, the audio signals, and all videotape address information such as the control track and timecode is recorded onto the recording VTR during editing. The Video Insert Mode button permits you to record new video information onto a previously recorded tape, replacing the old video material but keeping the original audio tracks. This can be handy when you want to insert a cutaway shot to break up the monotony of a continuous scene of someone talking without losing the continuity of their speech. The last two purple buttons, Audio Insert 1 and Audio Insert 2, access the two linear audio tracks on your recording VTR, and they permit you to selectively replace or change the content of these audio tracks either separately or simultaneously. An example would be adding background music to existing pre-recorded video and audio. By selecting only Audio Insert 2, you can insert in new audio onto that track only without replacing or erasing the original video or the audio that is still on track 1. The blue button to the right of the insert buttons is the Audio Split button. An audio split is when the actual starting point for the audio is either advanced or delayed in relation to where the video starting point begins. You have probably seen this type of edit on television where you can hear people talking inside of a house while the camera is still shooting an establishing shot of the house's exterior and then eventually joins our talking people inside. The auto control section consists of 8 buttons dedicated to changing and verifying your edit points. When the in button is depressed, the registered in point will be displayed in the time counter display windows, depending on which VTR has been selected by the source section, which we'll talk about in a minute. And of course, the out button displays the respective edit out point when you push it. Combining either the in or out button with the shift button will decrease or increase by 1 frame at a time the selected edit point. Pressing the duration button reveals the elapsed time for an edit for a particular VTR. And pressing the shift button with the duration button will return the time setting of a selected VTR back to where it was before any trim changes were made. The Go To button automatically reverses or advances the selected VTR to the displayed edit point by pressing the respective in or out button followed by Go To. The Clear button does just that. If an in or out button is held down while pressing the Clear button, that particular edit point is canceled. To undo a canceled edit point, press either the duration button or the last X button while holding down the shift button. A combination pressing of the shift and clear buttons reveals the total duration of the edits being performed, and this can be seen in the recorder time counter display window. Prior to actually executing an edit, you might want to see how it looks before committing it to tape. This is done by pressing the preview button. Once satisfied with what you've seen during the preview mode, you can press the red Auto Edit End button and the actual edit will take place. If you wish to stop the editing process after it has begun, you may press the Auto End button again. If you have an edit decision list already in the FXE-100's memory, you can carry out a continuous succession of automatic edits by pressing the Auto Edit End button along with the Shift button. And after you have performed your edit, you may review what you have done by pressing the Review button. The Time Mark section permits you to enter the selected VTR's in and out points by cueing the respective VTR to a given location on the tape, and then press Mark In or Mark Out, depending on whether this is the beginning or the end of an edit point. If you already know the time counter location of a certain edit point, you can enter its numeric value via the numeric keypad by pressing either the Mark In or Mark Out button along with the Shift button. The overall duration of an edit can be predetermined by pressing the Set Duration button, followed by an amount of time registered on the numeric keypad. When used with the Shift button, a numeric value for the FXE-100's Auto Transition mode can be entered into the numeric keypad. Next to the Shift button is the All Stop button. Pressing this will halt all editing operations and stop all VTRs connected to the FXE-100. This can be used to terminate an edit already in progress, or you can use it as a panic button in the event that you need to cancel an edit right before it begins. In the top right corner of the editing control module is the Monitor Select section. Whichever video monitor that you have connected to the main monitor output on the rear of the FXE-100 will display the video signal of the selected button. In other words, if you press the Source Monitor button, then the VTR video signal selected by the Source section will be shown on your main monitor. If you press the Program Monitor Select button, then the video signal that will be going on to your recording VTR from the FXE-100's program out jacks will be displayed on your main monitor. This particular selection will be helpful when viewing special effects created in the Video Switchers section. And the A-Bus and B-Bus Monitor Select buttons will show whatever video signal is present on the A or B bus of the Video Switchers section. The Manual Control section is basically a remote control for all VTRs connected to the FXE-100. By selecting a particular VTR in the Source section, you can remotely operate that VTR's record, play, still, rewind, and fast-forward operation. The Speed and DMC, or Dynamic Motion Control buttons, are for controlling variable speed playback VTRs. The Shift button combined with Play, Still, and Fast Forward will send Standby Off, Eject, and Stop messages respectively to the selected VTR. The Source section permits you to select one of 3 VTRs to be controlled by the editing controller and the VTR manual control module of the FXE-100. It also determines which VTR will be displayed on the main monitor output. You can pick between player number 1, player number 2, or the recording VTR. Selecting Auxiliary permits whatever video signal connected to the auxiliary video input jack to be displayed on the main monitor. The Search dial is the large knob located in the lower right-hand corner of the Edit Control module. It performs 2 basic functions. It is used as a jog shuttle control for connected VTRs and as a parameter selector for the FXE-100 when it is in the menu mode. When sitting in its highest position, it regulates the selected VTR's fast forward and reverse speeds so that searching for a particular edit point on a videotape can be accomplished quickly and easily by turning the knob left or right. Centering the knob at the 12 o'clock position puts the VTR in the still mode. Pressing the knob down once converts the knob into a frame jog control so the precise location of a certain video frame can be located by slowly turning it forwards or backwards. The time counter display windows at the top of the FXE-100 show the numeric locations of all 3 VTRs, Player 1, Player 2, and the recorder. The words in and out in front of each window shows the respective in and out edit points of each VTR if they have been entered. A steadily lit in or out means that this particular edit point has been entered. A flashing in or out means that the edit point has not yet been entered. Below the recorder time counter display is the Learn, Screen Selection, and Menus section. The Learn button is pressed to teach the FXE-100 what type of VTRs are connected to the RS-422 and RS-232C connectors so that the proper edit control synchronization can be achieved. With a videotape inserted in each VTR, press the Learn button and all connected VTRs will begin to run as the FXE-100 memorizes data that is necessary for proper tape transport commands. After all the VTRs have stopped, then press the Learn button once again to deactivate the Learn mode. The main monitor can display the overall FXE-100 status or the listed parameters within the menu section by pressing this button repeatedly. Continue pressing this button until nothing is displayed if you wish your main monitor to display only video. The Dial Menu section lets you change various parameters within the FXE-100 by using these buttons in conjunction with the Search dial. Once again, we'll look at the different menu options later on this tape. An illuminated window right below Player Number 2's time counter display shows the edit program number that you happen to be on at a given time, provided that you have created an edit decision list in the FXE-100. The button to the right of the edit program number activates the edit program section so that the next 4 buttons to the right can be used to modify your edit decision list, such as disabling a certain edit number, deleting, or backing up or advancing to a certain edit number. The Edit Number button registers a new edit entry, recalls it, or transfers it to an external memory device so that edit decision lists can be saved outside of the FXE-100. When the Snapshot button is lit, then any FXE-100 control panel setting is memorized into a given edit number so that automated effects can take place along with automated edits. The Store button actually initiates the memorization process, so that data can be stored into the FXE-100. And by pressing the recall button, you can view what the FXE-100's control panel will look like when an automated edit is performed. The Video Switcher and Special Effects Control module of the FXE-100 handles all of the video signal processing and multiple source transitions that will take place during editing. There are 5 primary sections within the Video Switcher and Special Effects Control module that create the necessary transitions and effects. They include the Effects Transition section, the Video Input Select section, the Mix Effects section, the Wipe Pattern section, and the Input Effects section. The Effect Transition section includes the controls for actually performing an effect or transitions once it is set up. The Video Audio Fade button lets you choose which portion of the program that you wish to set the transition time for, either video and audio or fade. The actual transition time is displayed in the window next to it, and the 3 buttons below that enter the time in elapsed frames. The transition indicators show that a transition is in progress, which has either been effected by the Auto Transition button or the manual fade lever. Engaging the lever pause button allows you to preset a desired fader lever position and then use the Auto Transition button to perform a transition up to that point and then stop. The reverse button changes the direction of a selected transition. As an example, let's say that you have a vertical wipe that, when performed, normally begins on the left side of the screen. Engaging the reverse button has the same wipe pattern begin from the right side of the screen. 2 different fade modes are possible with the FXE-100, either fade to white or fade to black, depending on which fade button you press. And the cut button performs an immediate cut from one video bus to another without going through a transition. There are 4 possible video inputs that you can select for either of the 2 buses on the FXE-100, either Player 1, Player 2, Auxiliary Video In, or Background Color. Whichever video bus includes the red illuminated button is the active video signal that is being sent to the FXE-100's program out jacks. The yellow lit button is the video source that is next in line to appear when you perform a transition. You can transition from any source on one video bus to another source on the other bus, including a transition from and to the same video source. You might want to dissolve from a video picture that has no input effects to the very same picture that has posterization added to it. Each of the video buses can have input effects added to them independently, and whether those effects are added depends on the respective bus's input effect button being turned on. If you have chosen background color as your video input source, you can change the background color to any one of 25 different colors. And each background color can be altered with the video level and hue section by changing the value of either the hue or the chrominance level. If you are providing audio along with your video input sources, you can have the audio change from one bus to another along with its accompanying video by engaging the audio follow button. With the audio follow button turned off, one audio source will remain even though you have transitioned back and forth between 2 video sources. The Mix Effects section provides 5 different mix transitions between your 2 video buses and luminance key, chroma key, and picture-in-picture. A normal mix, which is also called a dissolve, a mosaic mix, which includes a soft addition of mosaic to a dissolve that takes place, a posterization mix, which momentarily adds posterization during the dissolve, a black and white mix, which temporarily converts the video pictures from color into black and white halfway through the dissolve, and luminance clip transition, where a progressive replacement of light and dark portions of the pictures take place during the dissolve. Luminance key works on the principle of having any portion of the B bus's video signal that falls within a pre-specified brightness range becomes replaced with the video picture present on the A bus. As you can see, wherever there are dark areas on this picture, luminance key fills them in with video from another source altogether. Luminance key is also very handy for superimposing titles or graphics onto existing video, either from a camera pointing at a title card, or from various pre-recorded animation videotapes that were designed with luminance key in mind. Chroma key is probably the most popular keying effect, known to television viewers who watch their local weatherman stand in front of a computer-generated weather map. In fact, your weatherman is actually standing in front of a blue or green wall, and chroma key replaces that particular shade of blue or green with video from another source. This is an effect that you're really going to have fun with. Picture-in-picture is another frequently seen TV effect where one video picture is compressed into a smaller portion of the primary picture, like the picture-in-picture segments that you have been watching throughout this video. In addition to box-shaped picture-in-picture, you can perform this effect with a circle wipe, diamond wipe, or even a heart or star-shaped wipe. The wipe pattern section lets you create the wipe shape that you will want to use to separate two different video sources. These patterns can be used by themselves or combined to create even more wipe patterns. Take the time to experiment with the various combinations to see what you'll come up with. Beginning on page A11 of your operating instructions is a chart of all the possible wipe combinations, including a few that can be assigned from the menu section to the User 1 and User 2 buttons. The Input Effects section is where you can add digital effects to either or both of your two video buses. The A bus or B bus buttons at the top decide which of the two video buses you are adding the effects to. Let's say that in the A bus video picture you want to freeze it and add a touch of posterization to it. The plus and minus buttons permit you to vary the degree of some of the effects. Now on the B bus's picture you want to add zoom, strobe, and a little mosaic. Each bus now has its own customized inputs effects added, and you can now transition back and forth between the two. The third button in from the left at the top of the Input Effects section is the Color Correction button, which engages for whichever bus that you happen to be on at that particular time. The actual color correction is adjusted with the joystick above the Input Effects section. And it should be noted that you can memorize color correction settings by pressing the Store button after the correction has been made. That way you can recall the exact setting later on if necessary. Next to the color corrector section is the position section. When engaged, allows you to move the closed type wipe patterns about the screen to different locations. And of course the on-off button in the position section has to be on before you can position a selected wipe pattern. The previously mentioned chroma key and luminous key modes will probably require some fine-tuning and adjustment to obtain the full effect, and that is performed in the chroma key, luminous key section. The hue control selects the background color for the chroma key mode, and the clip and gain controls adjust both the chroma key and luminous key's effect level. Borders, both colored and soft, can be added to any of the wipe pattern edges by toggling through the soft, off, and border. The video level and hue section can be used to adjust the overall brightness of a particular video bus or to change the color level and color tint. While viewing the A bus, press the A bus button in this section and use any of the three knobs to set up your picture. A completely independent setup level can be performed on the B bus. In the top right corner of the FXE-100 is the Audio Mixer module, which functions much like the Video Switcher module but with audio signals. Audio is assigned from your audio sources to a given input on either the A or B bus through the Audio Input Select section, and the input volume for each of the connected audio sources is adjusted in the Audio Input Level section. Both Player 1 and Player 2 have two pairs of audio connectors on the rear of the FXE-100, so that a total of 4 separate audio channels can be delivered from a player VTR. There is the main pair of stereo inputs, which are adjusted with these controls, and a subsidiary set of audio inputs that can be controlled with the 2 sub-knobs. A separate control handles the level of the auxiliary number 1 audio input, and the monitor out knob adjusts the volume level going to your main monitor. 2 slide levers immediately above the control knobs adjust the volume level of a second auxiliary input, or microphone, and the overall master volume level that will leave the FXE-100 and go on to your recording VTR. As mentioned earlier in this video, the FXE-100 can host a variety of inputs and outputs. Inter-format editing is as simple as connecting any combination of virtually every video format that exists. High 8, Super VHS, Betacam SP, you name it. RS-422, RS-232C, either editing protocol will work. And mixing and matching S-video ins and outs with composite ins and outs is not a problem either. Your FXE-100 video editing system can be as simple as a one-player and one recording VTR, or a complete two-player, one-recorder A/B roll editing system. If you only have one-player VTR, connect its audio and video outputs to the player number 1 input block. If your player VTR has S-video outputs, by all means use these for your video connections for the best results when going to or from High 8 or Super VHS video equipment. If your player VTR emits stereo audio, then connect your two audio cables to the main audio inputs. If your VTR is equipped with XLR connectors, you'll need a Phono to XLR 3-pin cross cable, which can be obtained from your Sony dealer. And when using these connections, be sure to switch the 600 ohm termination switch below the audio inputs to on. If your player VTR has external reference sync in, connect it with a BNC composite cable to one of the FXE-100's blackburst output jacks, and switch your player VTR to receive external sync. And finally, make a connection between your player's VTR edit control receptacle and the FXE-100. If your VTR has a 25-pin RS-232C edit control jack, then use a 9-pin to 25-pin cross cable to make the necessary connections to the RS-232C receptacle on the top row of serial connectors labeled Player 1 RS-232. And slide the selector switch from RS-422 to RS-232C if it is not already there. It should be noted that both player VTRs must have the same editing protocol, either RS-422 or RS-232C. If your player VTR uses the RS-422 editing protocol, then make that connection accordingly. A second player VTR, if you have one, can be connected to the FXE-100 in the same manner as the first, making all of its connections to the player number 2 input block. An auxiliary video source such as a video camera can be connected to the video input in the auxiliary 1 input block. Audio from the camera or audio from a secondary source such as a compact disc player can be connected to the auxiliary 1 audio input. And even more audio from, let's say, an audio cassette deck can be connected to the auxiliary number 2. The next input block, labeled recorder, is for the video and the audio outputs of your recording VTR. The FXE-100 provides these connections so that monitoring all 3 VTRs with a single monitor can be accomplished. From the program video output block on the FXE-100, connect your S-video or composite cable from here to the video input on your recording VTR, along with the accompanying audio from the program out audio jacks. Professional recording VTRs that have XLR 3-pin audio inputs generally require a plus 4 dB audio signal. The switches below the audio output jacks handle that decision. At this time, also make a connection from one of the BNC composite program video output jacks to the external reference sync in on your recording VTR, and place a recording VTR in the external sync mode. Decide if your recording VTR is RS-422 or RS-232C and make that respective connection with the necessary cable. Since the FXE-100 can toggle between all of the connected video inputs while it is in the monitor mode, you may use just one monitor connected to the main monitor video and audio output jacks. The FXE-100 is equipped with 2 general-purpose interface or GPI outputs that can be programmed to trigger outboard video equipment during edits. And a GPI input on the FXE-100 permits it to be triggered by another device. A popular High 8 VTR that is frequently used with the FXE-100 is the Sony EVO9720. It is a dual-deck High 8 player and recorder combo that can either be used within your system as a player number 1 VTR and recording VTR, or you may use both of the VTRs within the EVO9720 as your 2-player VTRs, while a separate editing VTR handles the recording duties. In other words, a complete A/B roll editing system consisting of only 3 pieces of equipment, including the FXE-100. A quick note, you should always make it a habit of turning off the power on the FXE-100, as well as all of your other video equipment while making or changing any connections between video gear. When you first turn on the FXE-100, you will see this display on your main monitor. Starting at the top left corner of the screen, you will see exactly what the main monitor is monitoring. In this case, it indicates it is monitoring the program output of the FXE-100. This particular display will change, of course, as you toggle through your various monitoring options. The next line down tells you what the edit mode is that you're in. The V stands for video insert. The A1, A2 stands for audio insert for channels 1 and 2. And ASMBL is an abbreviation for assemble editing. The top right corner of the screen exhibits your video switcher status. In this case, you will be going from the A bus, which is player number 1, to the B bus, which is player number 2. As you perform a transition, these two displays will trade places. Midway down the screen is your edit type. Here we see A-B roll, which could just as easily be cut, A-roll, manual, or sync roll. If you see the letters AS displayed to the right of the edit type, then you are in the audio split mode. Below the edit type display are the VTR's time displays indicated with an asterisk which VTR is called up in the source section. If the auxiliary video source is selected, then the letters AUX will replace the R or recording VTR. To the right of each VTR's time display is an indication of whether or not that VTR has an in or out point registered. When auxiliary is selected, then a duration time must be entered from the numeric keypad to fill these spaces. Once an actual operation takes place, you will see either Preview, Auto Edit, Review, or Auto Assembly displayed in this area. Now that we have our FXE-100 video editing system all connected, and we're pretty familiar as to what each of the functions on the FXE-100 are for, let's go ahead and prepare our system to perform an edit. We'll begin by turning on all of our VTRs, our video monitor, and then the FXE-100 itself. We'll put a videotape into each of our player VTRs that have our raw camera footage recorded on them, and a blank tape into our recorder VTR. Even though the FXE-100 can assemble edit an entire production one scene at a time, it's best to use a videotape in the recorder VTR that has been pre-blacked. This means the recorder videotape has already been run through the recorder VTR in the assemble edit mode, and its entire length has been recorded with a black video signal, time code, and a continuous control track. Pre-blacking takes place during the first edit mode. It involves placing a blank videotape in your recorder VTR and pressing Shift and Assemble at the same time on the FXE-100. The words First Edit will appear on your main monitor status screen. Select Cut Edit in the Edit Type section and choose the auxiliary input on the A bus of the Video Input Select section. Press the background color button next to the auxiliary button and make sure that the background color of black is selected. Push the Recorder VTR Select button in the Source section above the search dial, and turn the search dial to the left to make sure that the tape is at the very beginning, and then press the Mark In button. Now push the Auxiliary Select button in the Source section, followed by the Set Duration button. The status screen on the main monitor will ask you to enter a duration time, which is accomplished by entering a number from the numeric keypad. Be sure to enter a time duration that is at least as long as your blank videotape. After the duration time is entered, press the Enter Reset button on the numeric keypad and then push the Auto Edit button. Your recorder VTR will begin recording for a few seconds, and then it will momentarily pause while the FXE-100 automatically switches over to the Auto Assemble mode. The recorder VTR will then resume recording until it reaches the end of the tape and automatically rewinds back to the beginning. Now your recorder VTR tape is pre-blacked, and it can be used as your edit master tape with all of your edits being performed in the video and/or audio insert mode. Our first example of editing with the FXE-100 will be a cut edit, which is done with just one player VTR and the recorder VTR. First select Cut Edit from the Edit Type section, and then select Recorder VTR from the Source section. Using the search dial, forward your recorder VTR tape about 1 minute in from the very beginning of the tape and press Mark In. First of all, VTRs being run from an edit controller need space to back up onto during the pre-roll mode that takes place right before each edit. And generally the first 30 seconds or so on any videotape is not the best place to record video and/or audio. In the Source section, press P1 to select Player 1 and use the search dial to find the beginning of the first video scene that you want to record. Now press Mark In again and this is what your status screen should look like. Push the Auto Edit In button and the edit will perform. Since this is an open-ended edit where no edit out points have been registered, you will have to press the All Stop button when you have recorded enough of your first scene onto the recorder VTR. Let's try that again. We'll leave the recorder VTR where it left off on the previous edit and press Mark In. Select Player 1 and use the search dial to find a new video scene. Once you have found it, press Mark In and then advance the Player 1 tape about 10 seconds. Now press the Mark Out button. What you have just done is told the FXE-100 that you want to perform a cut edit with a duration of about 10 seconds. Now press the Auto Edit In button and the edit will perform and stop automatically at the point that you specified on Player 1. Now on to an A-roll edit, which also uses one player VTR and the recorder VTR. In the A-roll edit mode, the last video frame that was previously recorded onto the recorder VTR is captured in the FXE-100's memory as a frozen picture. When the edit takes place, a dissolve or a wipe from the last frozen video frame can be executed, giving the illusion of an A-B roll type of edit where one scene transitions to another. Select A-roll from the Edit Type section and press the P1 button in the Video Input Select section of the FXE-100's video switcher. Set the edit in and out points for your Player 1 VTR in the same manner previously described for cut editing. Now set the edit in point for the recorder VTR. Once that is done, select a transition from the video switcher such as this. Make sure that the transition indicator in the Effect Transition section is in the A position. And go ahead and perform your edit by pressing the Auto Edit In button. The recorder VTR will momentarily play back so that the last video frame recorded on its tape can be frozen into memory. And then both VTRs will pre-roll and effect the edit where the selected transition will automatically occur precisely at the edit point. This type of edit can be used to simulate the look of an A-B roll type edit without the necessity of having two player VTRs. The actual A-B roll edit, however, does use two different player VTRs, so that a transition can occur from the end of one player into the beginning of the other player. Begin by selecting the A-B roll edit type and assign your two players to Bus A and Bus B respectively in the Video Input Select section. This time you'll have to enter edit in and edit out points for both of your player VTRs. And whichever player VTR is displayed as the From source on the status screen will be the first VTR to play, followed by the second player VTR. Set the recorder VTR at the point where you want the edit to begin and press only the Mark In button. Select a transition effect like this, maybe increase the transition rate a little bit, and make sure that the transition indicator is on the video bus that is going first. Since this type of edit is a little bit more complex than the previous two, we can reassure ourselves that everything is going to perform correctly by pressing the Preview button for right now instead of the Auto Edit In button. This way you can view the edit without having to actually record it onto your recorder VTR. If you are satisfied with the preview, then you can go ahead and press the Auto Edit In button to commit the edit to tape. The edit will perform beginning with your first player VTR. As the first player VTR approaches its edit out point, the second player VTR will start rolling and be up to speed at exactly where one ends and the other one begins, and that's where your automatic transition will take place. After the total edit concludes, leave the last player VTR that played right where it left off, and also leave the recorder VTR where it stopped. But now use the search dial to find a new video scene to add to another A-B roll edit. Once you've found it, register its new edit in and edit out points and press the Auto Edit In button. What will happen is a continued A-B roll edit will take place and it will resume exactly where the first one left off, leaving a seamless cut where the new edit point occurred. An editing feature unique to the FXE-100 is self-A-roll editing, which is performed in the A-B roll edit mode but with only one player VTR. The single video source is assigned to both video buses so that a transition can take place between a video picture without effects to a bus with input effects added, such as mosaic, strobe, or posterization. Begin the setup of self-A-roll as you would an actual A-B roll edit by setting the in and out points for your single player VTR. Then set both edit in and out points for the recorder VTR. Select your transition effect, such as a normal mix, and then select an input effect on the B bus. Return the fade lever to the A bus and press the Auto Edit N button, and your Self A-Row edit will look like this. The last two types of edits are Manual Edit and Sync Roll Edit. The only difference between the two is that Sync Roll editing registers the edit points and any effect that you perform into the edit decision list. Manual editing only registers the edit points. To give your production that multiple camera television look, begin by queuing up both of your camera's videotapes in your two-player VTRs. After you have found that common tape location point, press the Mark In button for both Player 1 and Player 2, and set an edit in point for the recorder VTR. Once you're satisfied with your setup, you can press the Auto Edit N button and the actual edit will begin. With the two-player VTRs running in unison, you may press the Auto Transition button to dissolve from one camera's point of view to another. There are three different key effects built into the FXE-100: Luminance Key, Chroma Key, and Picture-in-Picture. An important tip to remember is that anytime you use a key effect, the transition indicator in the Effect Transition section must be in the B-bus position. All three of the keying operations involve replacing portions of the B-bus's video signal with the A-bus's video signal. With Luminance Key, the FXE-100 looks for extremely dark or extremely light portions of the B-bus's video picture, and through the adjustment of the clip controls in the Chroma Key Luminance Key section, varying levels of the effect can take place. Titles can be superimposed over video through Luminance Key by connecting a video camera to the auxiliary video input and assigning that video source to the B-bus, and your regular video footage will be assigned to the A-bus. Using pre-recorded animation tapes or computer graphics works on the same principle. The dark areas become the keyed-in areas when they are on the B-bus. Chroma Key is similar to Luminance Key in that it takes the B-bus's video signal and replaces designated portions of it with other video. However, it uses a specific color within the B-bus's picture, such as red, green, or blue. To use Chroma Key, assign your key subject in front of a solid color backdrop to the B-bus, and assign your background video footage to the A-bus. Begin adjusting the hue control in the Chroma Key Luminance Key section until you start to get separation between the foreground and background pictures. Fine-tuning of this effect is done with the Clip High to adjust the saturation of the effect, and with the Gain Clip Low control to adjust the brightness of the inserted or background video. Color blocking is a Chroma Key effect in which you convert your entire video picture into black and white, with the exception of one person or object that remains in full color. Begin by assigning the same video source to both the A and B bus, and make sure that the B bus is active. Turn on the Chroma Key effect, and add the input effect of monotone to the B bus only. Now, as you slowly turn the hue control in the Chroma Key Luminance Key section, single specific colors will show through, highlighting that particular subject in color, while the rest of the screen stays monotone. Picture-in-Picture is a key effect that takes the entire video picture from the A-bus, compresses it down to 1/9 size, and places it in a square, circle, diamond, or heart-shaped white pattern. Once the Picture-in-Picture appears on screen, you can move it about with the positioner joystick. In addition to the key effects that the FXE-100 has to offer, you may also add a variety of digital input effects to either the video switcher's two video buses. With Multiple Screen or Multiple Screen 2, the plus and minus buttons permit the effect to proceed on to the next active picture block after freezing the preceding one. By the way, Multiple Screen and Multiple Screen 2 differ in their direction of laying down the successive pictures. Using the Multiple Screen effect creatively, you can create a double Picture-in-Picture by assigning two different video sources to the two different buses of the FXE-100. Create a vertical wipe using the second wipe pattern button and place the fader lever halfway between the two buses. On each bus, select the Multiple Screen effect and use the plus button to walk the live action screen to the desired location. Now turn off the Multiple Screen effect and right back on again, and you will see a single live action screen exactly where you positioned it. Once this is performed on both buses, you will see two individual live action screens from two different video sources. Freeze does just that. It freezes the picture into the FXE-100's frame memory. When you first press the freeze button, it displays a frozen video field, which is half of one interlaced video frame that is slightly lower in resolution, but it eliminates any vibration due to movement in the video at the time the freeze was captured. And Picture Trail adds a slight trail of images behind a moving object, giving it an almost ghost-like effect. The FXE-100 is capable of editing with independent video and audio edit endpoints. This is called split editing, and it's performed in the insert editing mode. We'll set up everything the same way as if we're performing a non-audio split edit. However, this time we'll include the pressing of the audio split button in the edit mode section. We'll now press the set duration button and enter the time value of, let's say, 5 seconds and 15 frames into the numeric keypad, followed by the minus button, and then finally the enter button. This means that exactly 5.5 seconds before the video insert edit takes place, the audio will be edited in. Watch. The FXE-100's Edit Decision List, or EDL, is created by registering edit parameters and video switcher setups called snapshots into the internal memory. Up to 99 different edit snapshot segments can be memorized and recalled at any time. To select a specific edit from the EDL, press either the plus or minus button in the Edit Programs section until the selected edit number appears. Combining the pressing of these buttons with the Shift button will permit you to jump through the edit decision list in groups of 10 edits. A full automatic editing function within the FXE-100 is its ability to perform continuous edits from the edit decision list beginning at the first edit number selected. This is called auto assembly, and it's performed by holding down the Shift button while pressing the auto edit end button. All successive edits from this point on will be performed until the EDL is exhausted or the All Stop button is pressed. Beginning on page 8.2 of the operating instructions is a list of changeable items within the FXE-100 setup menu. To change an item on the menu, push the search dial down so that it locks in the lower position. Now press the screen display button until the word Menu is lit, and you will see this screen on your main monitor. Turning the search dial moves the flashing cursor from one parameter to another. Once you have selected the item that you wish to change, hold down the Data button while you slowly rotate the search dial to the change that you want. At this time, you must enter this change by pressing the Set button before you go on to another menu screen. To change menu screens, hold down the Menu button while you turn the search dial until you get the selected screen. There is a hidden wipe pattern within the FXE-100 that creates a dual horizontally compressed picture shuffle that looks like this. To access it, enter the menu mode and proceed to set up item number 201. Select either the user 1 or user 2 parameter and enter wipe pattern number 0050. Memorize this data into the FXE-100's memory by pressing the Set button. So now when you select one of the user wipe effects in the wipe pattern section, you can use this effect. As you can see, there is very little that the FXE-100 cannot do. So take the time to become familiar with the FXE-100. Realize that we have just skimmed the surface of its capabilities and potential. And thank you for joining us on this video tour of the Sony FXE-100 video editing system.